it's been, that's physically happening, by
including by
Israel,
Egypt.
Israel, including Egypt and Jordan and so forth. But now also, on the last few items to get
Well,
peace
to be
treaty.
honest, compromise has been on the table for a while, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, the
Yeah.
what was agreed in Oslo,
Mm.
you know,
So that's the point. I mean, they're probably not even happy with that level of compromise. I mean, what else do you want
mm,
in terms of coming to some kind of an agreement with these people? But I mean, it shows you. I mean, when the Muslim countries have dropped the case of Palestine,
oh,
then who
well,
else is
they're
gonna?
actively opposing by the sounds of it, isn't it?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I remember when even in the last flare up, the Gaza, the Gazan Muslims were being blamed as the ones who are responsible for the flare up, as opposed to the ones, who are perpetrating it against them. So
Anyway, there's loads to discuss on
mm,
that, I guess, but it is a sad case. But there are lots. I guess there are lots of people who are not Muslims who are, I guess, passionately pro-Palestinian, and
I
that
think,
makes you wonder as well. I mean,
yeah.
what drives them?
Mm.
I mean, I guess that's the case for
That
inherent
I think that's the positive
the
side of
fitra,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the positive side of it, and that's the sense of justice, right? Justice doesn't necessarily know a faith or not. I mean, just as human beings, we have this element of
Which is the natural fitra, isn't it? What
natural
Islam talks
fitrah
about.
of justice, right? Of having justice, and then when you have a people, and when you have a clear injustice being done against a set of people, when you have your land being taken away from you, right, then it makes common sense that if you've taken land away from someone, then you ought to be given that land back that's been taken away from you, right? So I mean that there's that sense of injustice which is very clear for the international community, and we can see that because I've got a lot of non-Muslim friends who are very pro-Palestine, and they're at the front row when it comes to speaking up for the
They're
people.
very passionate. That's what I'm saying. Very, very
passionate.
passionate.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll
And
find them more passionate than even Muslims
at
sometimes.
risk to themselves.
And you'll find them even more passionate than even the Muslims are on the case of Palestine. I mean, we should be a lot more passionate. That is so intrinsically linked to Islam and to us being Muslims, but non-Muslims, and that's another very important point, which is us actually, the Muslim community actually reaching out to even these kind of not, the non-Muslim people
But to be
within our
honest, I
community,
think
right?
from my experience, I think Muslims have been an embarrassment to them because they expect so much because they think they're acting on their sense of injustice happening, and they see Muslims as the natural ally, but we tend to sort of shy away and not want to get involved, and that sometimes kind of like what upsets them a little bit to say, well, hang on, we're putting our lives on the line here, and you guys are just sort of standing back and watching.
No, agreed. And you know what? To be honest with you, there's a very strong ayah in the Quran where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, "Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist, shuhada lillah." Right? So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, He tells the believers and tells mankind that you should stand firmly for justice. And you should stand firmly for justice, even if it's against yourself, your family members, those who are close of kin to you, those who are rich, the poor, irrespective of whoever the person is. You must stand firmly for justice, and we know that when you stand for justice, it's not very easy. It's not very comfortable standing for justice. Sometimes it means struggle. Sometimes it means being inconvenienced. Sometimes it means actually saying the truth in front of someone who's is not going to really necessarily like it. And I think sometimes we become complacent with life, and we don't take the necessary steps, and we don't take the positions that we ought to sometimes.
And I think you commented on Modi's visit and joining of Israel with India, I guess, partnership, etc.
Yeah.
But you got the similar situation in Kashmir, and if you see some of the tactics that the Kashmiri people are using are similar to the Palestinians. Like you got almost an intifada happening in Kashmir as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, injustice wherever. I mean, whether it's Burma, right, whether it's Kashmir.